Good day to Madam Asmahani. We are from our group, will be presenting on airline industry for our final project. So our group members are me, Nazira, then Abigail, Rick, Muhammad Idris, and Rufasha. So the presentation flow will be like this. And I will start with the introduction on the airline industry. The airline industry comprises a wide range of business called airlines, which offer air transport services for paying customers or business partners. These air transport services are provided for both human travelers and cargo and are most commonly offered via jets or helicopters. So commercial airlines serve many countries with modern jet equipment and offer a wide range of services between major cities. So typically, airline products include full service carriers offering different classes of service, low-cost carriers, the LCCs, inclusive tour packages, connecting services, charters, and etc. So there are international airlines and national airlines and regional airlines with different competitors and strategies that differ based on the market. So the airline product consists of tangible and intangible element. So the tangible part may include special lounges, priority boarding, and in-flight entertainment, while the customer service that is provided by the courteous cabin crew and friendly check-in employees could be considered the product's intangible elements. So hence, the process of product development and market research should be ongoing if an airline is to keep itself up to date with the latest developments in the market. So the airline market should know what represents a high standard of customer service, particularly toward high-yield profitable customers. So nonetheless, there are different kinds of customers, including short-haul, long-haul, leisure, and business passengers, who may hold different expectations from the airlines. So business passengers may need punctual services, while leisure passengers may usually demand low prices. So the consumer's need and want is a difficult task, especially in the competitive environment in which the airline must operate. So today, customers may choose to travel with a wide selection of airlines that could be operating the same routes. Thus, the airline that can satisfy the customer's wants could be in a better position to achieve a competitive advantage compared to their rivals. So I will pass to Muhammad Idris to continue with the presentation.
I will present on the background of the airline industry. For airline industry in Malaysia, the Malaysia's economy is significantly boosted by the country's air transportation industry. And there are a variety of methods for assessing the economic effect of air transportation, such as the employment and expenditure created by national airlines and their supply chain, the flows of commerce and tourism. And investment also is generated by users of all airlines servicing the country. Next slide, please. The network of strategy of airlines in Malaysia should offer adequate air travel alternatives for all customers regardless of their capacity to fly. These include the state of immunization, the ability of competitively priced services, and the availability of dependable services in terms of performance in service delivery, on time, justifiable cancellation. Next slide please. In order to grow their market share, airlines who have a solid financial sheet and are properly financed could also benefit from this. Okay. One example of Malaysian Airlines in Malaysia industry is Malaysia Airline System or Sistem Penerbangan Malaysia, now known as Malaysia Airline Berhad. Serves as the country's flag carrier and serves as the country's primary international airline. For the next slide, I will pass to my colleague Eric.
I will continue first with the Porter's 5 forces analysis. So the 5 forces framework was created by Harvard Business School Professor Michael Porter to analyze an industry's attractiveness and its potential profitability, and was first published in the Harvard Business Review in 1979. So Porter's five forces model could be applied in any industry to understand the competition in the sector and then adjust appropriate strategies to boost profitability and stay ahead of the competition. So Porter's five forces is a powerful tool that can be used to identify the main sources of competition in one industry. So the framework may be used when completing an industry analysis, and it allows an organization to gain a deeper understanding of how profit is divided between the five forces in a specific industry. So it will indirectly enable the organizations to get a better understanding of which industry players hold the most power and likely determine the rules of the activity, and obtain the dynamics of the industry and potential changes in the future. So its framework is based on the perception that an organization strategy should encounter the opportunities and threats in the organization's external setting. So the framework distinguishes five forces in the microenvironment which are close to a company that affects its ability to serve its customers and make a profit. Porter's five forces is a model that identifies five competitive forces that shape every industry and helps determine its strengths and weaknesses. According to Porter, the five forces that represent the key sources of competitive pressure within an industry are supplier power, buyer power, competitive rivalry, threat of substitution, and threat of new entry. So I will pass to next member of my group to present, to continue.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Hendrik Austin, and today I'll be sharing my part for the final project, which is regarding the power of supplier and also the power of buyer. Okay, suppliers become stronger and more intense when they are more focused than the business they provide to. And they are not simply reliant on businesses for their revenue, but also on a variety of other sources. In the case of airlines, two key suppliers might have an impact on the company: the aircraft provider and also the fuel supplier. In the context of Malaysian Airlines, they have the government's national interest on their side and may benefit from the intergovernment connection. Fuel providers, on the other hand, are on the powerful side of the force since planes cannot operate without it. Business travelers want convenience, while leisure travelers want a stress-free, pleasurable trip. Nevertheless, both are willing to pay a slight premium for these benefits. As a result, suppliers at both ends of the supply chain have less advantage and possibilities. In terms of jet fuel prices, suppliers have little bargaining leverage because there are only a few organizations and the price of the fuel is established by the government. Okay, next slide, please. Looking at the power of buyer, the travel industry was formally structured with three key components. First is providers, for example, airlines, hotels, ferries, and car rentals, and then followed by middlemen, such as travel agencies and tour operators, and thirdly, passengers. As a result, suppliers used to have to pay fees and commissions to intermediaries and technology companies that assisted them in reaching their targeted customers. Malaysia Airlines customers have a relatively good negotiating position. Despite the fact that the business is controlled in Malaysia, the airline faces competition both inside and beyond nation. Customers in the business group are often less price sensitive because their travel is frequently subsidized by the employers or agencies. As a result, Malaysia Airlines would be better off focusing on business customers, as this group of individuals expect to travel in comfort via Malaysia Airlines business class. Customers who are flying for vacation, for example, choose the cheapest choice. AirAsia has dominated the industry by offering exceptionally inexpensive fares to the general public. Customers are demanding more value and service, and the internet has offered a method of accessing information on service quality and pricing, as well as allowing for quick and interactive buying of items and services. All of these variables have made it easy for the average traveler to quickly and simply choose the best offer that meets their expectations. So the range of power of supplier and power of buyer is definitely high. Okay, that's all from me. I will pass to my next my next presenter to present it.
Hi, my name is Abigail, and I'll be sharing on the other two main parts, which are competitive rival and trade of substitution. Let me start with the third model, which is the competitive rival. Airlines compete largely on pricing and service, but then they also compete on flight frequency, frequent flyer programs, flight dependability, and other factors, but then to a lesser extent. Air Asia, Malaysia Airlines, and Singapore Airlines are three major competitors in the airline industry, each offering comparable products and services. However, there is a major difference in pricing, pattern, and service supplied. Let me give you an example, which is MAS, Malaysia Airlines. The main competitors are Air Asia Berhad and Singapore Airlines because Air Asia is Malaysia's leading low-cost airline. Other than that, Singapore Airlines is also the country's flag carrier airline. It has been named the greatest airline in the world 4 times and the top airline in travel and leisure for over 20 years. These two are the main competitors for Malaysia Airlines. But then in terms of product and pricing, MAS offers varied levels of in-flight entertainment depending on the class, and its tickets are often more than those offered by low-cost carriers. MAS set itself apart from cheap carriers by offering quality services. So these are basically the competitive rivals in the airlines industry. The competitive rival can be also seen low because every airline have a variety of advantages and disadvantages. Okay, next slide. The fourth model, which is the threat of substitution. Through my research, I understand that when the threat of substitute is high, the industry may face a battle in terms of profit and also development of potential, as they will eventually have to share their present market share with the substitute item, which has a good chance of dominating the market. Malaysian Airlines can be substituted with, for example, Kereta Api Tanah Melayu, electric train service. So this rail has service domestic transit from Malaysia's southern peninsula to Thailand's southern cities, as well as several of peninsular major cities. ETS is a possible domestic flight substitute for Malaysia Airlines. It is very less expensive, and another reason why people choose to travel by ETS rather than flying is because the stations are simpler, faster to reach than airports. But looking at it in a wider perspective, in this current modern world, customers now are most likely to choose travel by aeroplanes because it is still the fastest and most convenient choice accessible. Yet some still choose like other modes such as ferries, train, and cruises. So the threat of substitution is slightly moderate because in terms of international routes, airlines have a very less chance of being replaced by such alternatives. So as travel between nations such as Malaysia and London can only be done by air. Okay, that's all for me. I'll pass to the next presenter.
Okay, so for the threat of new entrants, it can be defined as the risk that a new competitor creates for the current companies within an industry. So the new entrants into the Malaysian airline industry can be both from domestic or foreign airline. So in this assignment, we are focusing more on the domestic airline. The airline industry has a high barrier to entry and exit due to its high operational costs, because it needs a large and a huge amount of investment to start and sustain an airline business. In Malaysia, airline industry is a highly concentrated industry. AirAsia, Berjaya Air, Malindo Air, Malaysia Airlines, MAS, MASWings, and Firefly are the 6 airlines that are currently competing in the domestic market. MAS used to monopoly the domestic market, but the presence of AirAsia and Malindo Air have shifted the market structure to an oligopoly from the monopoly. And currently, MAS and AirAsia are dominating the airline market. So the two new entrants into the Malaysian airline industry is SKS Airways and My Airline that will be permitted to operate in 2022. My Airline is the new ultra low-cost carrier, while SKL Airways flies to Pulau Pangkor, Pulau Redang, and Pulau Tioman on the short-haul routes. Okay, next. So, since the new airlines had no debt and operated at a low cost, it was initially assumed that more competition in the airline industry would lead to lower fares to the customers. Some experts also believe that the new airlines will help promote local airlines, while other experts claim that the market and the airline industry in Malaysia are already very saturated. These two new entrants are also thought to threaten AirAsia, which has lost 6.44 billion ringgit Malaysia in the last 2 financial years due to the pandemic. However, SKS Airways is not considered a competitor currently because it flies to routes that no other airline currently or can fly to, since they target no scheduled air service small islands. And for my airline, it cannot replicate the ULCC strategy and approach due to the Malaysian airline industry that is already over capacity with these three carriers, MAS, AirAsia, and Malindo Air. So with the existence of these new entrants, it will cause fare wars and cheap flights for a very limited of time. The fare wars will be unsustainable because one or two competitors will eventually fail over time, since the airline industry is very difficult to succeed in. For example, Malindo Air, which is now known as Batik Air Malaysia, has been losing money since it started its operation almost 10 years ago. So it can be concluded that the trade of new entrants is low in the Malaysian airline industry because the existing airlines already have established brand names and loyal customers. And over the years, they also have developed vast and huge experience in cutting costs while increasing the quality of service. And then next, I will continue with the conclusion, and then I will pass to my fellow groupmate Idris. For the conclusion, I will summarize the 5 forces analysis in the Malaysian airline industry. So for the power of supplier and the power of buyer, both are high. For the competitive rival, it is low. For the trade of substitution, it is moderate. And lastly, for the trade of new entrants, it is low. Okay, I will pass to my groupmate Idris.
For the conclusion, the airline industry in Malaysia is actually a highly concentrated and a competitive aviation business. And the market structure also has transformed or transitioned from a monopoly to an oligopoly economy as a result of the introduction of two major rivals, which is AirAsia and Malindo Air, or now known as Batik Air Malaysia. The predatory pricing involves lowering prices below cost in order to drive out existing competitors, and scale of purchase interest also have been used by the two major rivals, which is Asia and Malindo Air. And the three major brands, which is Malaysia Airlines Berhad, AirAsia, and Batik Air, are considered to be among the most formidable competitors of one another in Malaysia airline industry. I think that's all from us for the presentation. This is the journal that we use for our reference, for our report and for our presentation. Okay, next slide, please. Next slide. Okay, thank you from us.
Thank you.